2, 3, 4. Hello and welcome. I'm Colin Daniel from riffninja.com, and this is lesson number 3 in a series of 3 lessons, and we've been taking a look at Howling Wolf. And this inspiration comes from The Killing Floor by Howling Wolf, and we need to learn a major scale. Yep, we need to learn a major scale. We don't usually use major scales as much in the blues. The bass player uses major scales in the blues, but not the guitar player usually. But in this case, I figured this was a very cool riff to learn, and it would embellish and help you understand your guitar more, and you really need to learn a major scale anyways. So, some of you are going to whine and complain, and I don't want to hear the whining and the complaining because you need to use your pinky on this one, okay? And the tonic note you start, the tonic or the key note, we're going to be in the key of A, and even though we're playing an A major scale, we're actually going to be playing an A blues, using the major scale as a bass riff. Now, we're going to start with the second finger on the 5th fret, 6th string. Do not start with your first finger. You want to line your fingers up. You're going to have a particularly difficult time with this riff if you don't learn to get the scale pattern down the way I'm showing you now, because I want to add some chords to it after to make it even more cool. Okay. So, second finger, 5th fret, 6th string. Then the 4th finger, the pinky, for the next note. And that'll be on the 7th fret, 6th string. Now we're going to cross over. So it's going to go, right? Starting with your 5th fret, 6th string with your second finger. 4th finger on the 7th fret, 6th string. First finger on the 4th fret, 5th string. Second finger on the 5th fret, 5th string. 4th finger on the 7th fret, 5th string. We're going to cross over again to the 4th string. 4th string, 4th fret with the 1st finger. Now, we need our 3rd finger. This is why you need to keep your fingers in this position, right? Now we're going to go to the 3rd finger, 4th string, and that is the 6th fret. And then pinky again, or 4th finger, on the 7th fret, 4th string. Cross over again. We're going to do exactly the same thing with the 3rd string that we did with the 4th string. We're going to go 3rd string with our 1st finger on the 4th fret. 3rd finger, 3rd string, 6th fret. And 4th finger, 3rd string, 7th fret. So far we've got two more strings. Stay with me. Now with our second finger, we go to the 2nd string, 5th fret. And then pinky on the 7th fret. And that's for the 2nd string. Cross over. 1st finger, 4th fret. 2nd finger on the 5th fret. And the pinky on the 7th fret. And that completes our major scale. Now this took a lot of practice to get this scale this smooth. It's not something that's going to come right away. This is a much more difficult scale than your pentatonic minor. And you'll notice that your pentatonic minor starts with the 1st finger on the tonic. But now you got to get into the habit of starting your tonic with the 2nd finger. So that takes a little practice in itself. Now we're going to add a chromatic passing note for this bass line. And it's between the 4 and 5, and you really only need to know the 6th and the 5th string, the first 2 strings of the scale, right? So the 6th string and the 5th string. But I mean, really, you should know the whole scale. It's a great scale if you want to jazz up your playing a bit. Okay, so now what we're going to do is this. We're going to go 1, 3, 4, chromatic pass note from the 4 to the 5. Remember in the last lesson where we were doing, You know, I was talking about the chromatic pass note between the 7 and 8 and the 4, and I said, well, in Roadhouse they use the 4 and 5 too, the chromatic passing note. Well, here we use the chromatic passing note from the 4 to 5 in the major scale, not in the minor now, major. Those are the notes. Now the timing's a little different. There's a 3 group on your third note. The rest are doubles and they're downstrokes. Very cool major riff with the chromatic pass note between the 4 and 5. Now that's for the A. Now to get the D, we need a 12-bar progression, and we need the 1, 4, 5, the 3 primary changes in A. That's going to be A, D, and E. So this is our A. Now we need a D. All we have to do is move it over to the 5th string and do the same thing. That becomes our D change, right? And we need one more change, the E. Same as the D, just 2 frets higher. Watch your hand position on this, because to really get this riff, you need to center your thumb. You can't have it sloppy, and you can't wrap your thumb around. This scale requires a little more technique, and you will thank me later for this when we add the chords to it. So just keep that in mind. You'll notice that my thumb sits back behind the neck and is centered with the position. Now we're going to go through a 12-bar progression, right? And the most common 12-bar is 4 bars of the 1. So that would be 4 bars, you know, of this riff, right? This riff is 1 complete bar. So to do the first 4 bars of our 12-bar, we need to do it 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's the first 4 bars of our basic 12-bar. Now we need to go to the 4 change, the D. We need to do that twice on the D and then twice on the A, and that takes care of our next 4 bars. You ready? 1, 2, from the D. Back to the A. Now we got 8 out of 12 bars, right? The way I look at a 12-bar is 3 groups of 4 bars. So our first 4 bars were just 4 bars of A, right? So we've covered our first 8 bars, right? The first 4 bars being the A riff 4 times. The next 4-bar phrase being the D for 2 riffs. And then back to the A for another 2. Which is the equivalent now of 8 bars. We need 4 more bars. Our last 4 bars, we start on the E for the last 4 bars. Drop to the D for a bar. Then to the A. Okay, that's what we're going to do. We're going to do a 12-bar now. 4 bars of the A, so 4 riffs of the A. Then 2 riffs of the D, 2 bars, right? Then 2 riffs of the A, another 2 bars. And now 1 bar of the E, 1 bar of the D, and 2 bars of the A. And that completes our 12-bar. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. That's our 12 bars. Okay, now there's one other thing I'm going to add to that, and that's a little turnaround in the last bar. And I'll get to that in just a second. We're also going to add some chords, and this is part of the whole deal. Now we need 3 chords. Again, I mentioned earlier that our 1, 4, 5 in the key of A is A, D, and E. We're going to use an A 7th bar chord like this. I'm sure you've played an F major before or a G major. This isn't a beginner's lesson, so I'm assuming you know a few chords, right? But like this is an F major, this is a G major, this is an A major. Now to make it a 7th chord, just take your pinky off and leave the rest of your fingers down. That becomes an A 7th. Literally, this A 7th comes from this really simple basic E 7th chord barred moved up, right? If that's an E 7th, then that's an A 7th, right? So there's your A 7th. And now we need a kink bar chord, which you're probably going to get mad at me for that one because it takes a little work. This is a 9th chord. Wonderful chord, and it's going to work great with a progression. And don't get in despair if you don't get it right away because it takes a little bit of work. It usually takes a little more work than this basic bar chord. And you have to kind of play it a little unconventionally and wrap your thumb around. But when I'm playing the riff with it, you know, I'm gonna have to go from this chord to the riff, right? And you need to move your hand around for that, but just be aware of that. So what we have here is the first finger on the 4th fret, and that's 4th string. The second finger on the 5th string, and that's 5th fret. And then the 3rd finger kinks over and catches on the 5th fret, the 3rd, 2nd, and 1st string to complete our chord. And that's, the root here is a D 9th, and this is our E 9th. And the reason why I mentioned the E 9th is because we need the 1, 4, and 5, A, D, and E. Now we're going to combine it. What we're going to do is instead of playing the first 2 notes out of the scale like what we were doing with the riff, we're going to go like this. We're going to hit the chord. So do the same with the D. So again, we're going to substitute the root note of our riff for the chord. And the same for the E. So if you need to separate these and practice them a bit, that's okay. But in the end, we're going to put it together in a 12 bar. So there's one more thing that you need to know, and that is at the very end, you know, and we're going to use the E instead of playing the riff. Instead of playing the A riff at the very end in the last 2 bars twice, we're going to go like this. If we use our chords, it's going to be. Okay, so let's go over that. Now I'll try and play it slow, although I find it hard to play this one really slow, so I'll do the best I can. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, and that's how you end it. 4 strokes. And then we can come back and do it again. And we could do it faster. Now, I add a little more to the strum than just what I've done here. That was just to simplify things. I'm usually doing a down, up, down triplet thing. 1, 2, 3, 4. there you go, just like that. Isn't that a lot of fun? That sure is. And you can play it at slower speeds and faster speeds, and that's pretty much the theme of Killing Floor, Howling Wolf. Although he played it in a lot of different variations. Sometimes he uses harp to play it, so keep that in mind. The beautiful thing about the blues is that we can add our own personality to it and take from it what we need to make it our own. And if you like this kind of music and you like to sing, you know, I slaved over this course. It's called Rhythms and Riffs of Classic Blues. And if you want to find out more about the course, you can check it out at riffninja.com/blues-rhythms. And yeah, I really painstakingly worked on this, and it's a lot of detail, but what I did here in these 3 lessons is a similar idea to what is happening in this course, except in a lot more detail, a lot more information. Nonetheless, I hope that these lessons have helped you out and have gotten you further along on your journey on the guitar. And thank you for your time and your patience, and we'll see you again.